Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? My name is Kyle, you know me as Dragonmar, and welcome to a new video. Today guys, I'm going to be teaching you how to get out of Diamond by going over 10 mistakes that all Diamond players make and how to fix them. This is part of the ongoing series where I'm sort of helping you escape each rank in the game, going over the most common mistakes, things you should work on, all that kind of stuff. So if you are a lower rank or just a different rank in general, definitely check out the whole series. I'll definitely link that in the description and on screen. With that being said, if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe for more. Definitely tell me what you want to see next in the comments. And reminder that I am streaming almost daily around 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dragonmar. Hope to see you there. Great place to come ask questions, hang out, and watch me hopefully climb to Radiant. With that being said, let's start the video. All right, starting things off with mistake number 1, and that is entering without communications. And the reason that this is so bad is because almost always what happens is a duelist is going to be the entry, the first person to go in. It's a very important role for a few reasons. First of all, you're getting information for your team. Second of all, you're hopefully getting a kill. If you don't get a kill, well, the goal there is there's going to be a trade from a teammate, so an instant refrag, onto the opponent. Now, the problem is that if you are an entry and you go in without communicating at all what you're doing, without even saying, like, something as simple as I'm going in or let's go or something so people know, sometimes they can be, for example, in my case, inside of a smoke, trying to figure out where they're going to place their smoke, or, in astro form, or they have a flash out and they're not ready to come with you, right? Very, very important. One of the biggest problems you still see at the higher rank, something like Diamond, is people not using their mics to communicate what they're doing, and then what would have been a great play completely falls apart. All right, I'm calling myself out on mistake number 2 here. So this is when you use utility, for example, like an entry into a site, but your teammates aren't in position. This is one of the biggest problems I have sometimes is still I'll mistime a smoke, or in my case, I'll actually smoke off a site properly, but I'll do it before my teammates are ready. So my smokes will be fading, as we're still entering into site, which is not good, right? You want those to be landing pretty much the second you start entering, not like, and you don't want them to be there for too long. First of all, the reason this is bad is because it's going to give away too much information to the enemy team. So they're going to be able to react really, really fast before you take any map control, right? That's a big thing people don't realize when it comes to these bad entries is you're not just wasting your utility. You're also giving up some very, very crucial information that allows for map control. So we really want to avoid that. So one thing I really think can help here is before you use utility and before you, execute a site, you just ask, like, are we ready? Like, are we going, or something? Or if you're the one calling, say, all right, let's go now. And call out your smokes, call out your flashes, call out everything. Because that way people know what's where, what to expect and how to play off of it. And that's helped me a lot, just trying to take more control like that. All right, mistake number 3 is holding too wide or just being overexposed in general. This is essentially when you are exposing yourself to multiple angles at once when it just makes no sense to do so. You see this a lot during clutches and during, more like intense moments where maybe the enemy team is entering into a site, or just in general all the time, because surprisingly enough, this still happens all the time in Diamond and is a huge reason why players are losing gunfights and not realizing it. So the key here is whenever you're taking a fight, you want to think of, okay, who am I fighting? Where are they? And where can I be seen from if I take this fight? If you could be seen from multiple positions that may contain an enemy, you probably want to reconsider that fight, right? That's the first thing I do. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to peek this spot, can I die from other places? If it's yes, I might actually want to move. So really important to keep that in mind, because you shouldn't just take every fight just because you can. You have to be careful with your positioning, because like I said, when you're at this rank, you're going to be playing some really good players who are going to absolutely punish you for over peaking, overextending, and being overexposed. All right, now we're on mistake number 4, and this is important to understand. Just because you have good aim does not mean you should force every round. This is a big problem at this rank, and this is a big problem in general for people once they, understand the game. You should understand economy, and you should understand that, hey, just because I can buy a sheriff every round doesn't mean I should. And you sacrificing, full shield or flashes just to be able to buy a sheriff in the previous round, probably not always the best idea. Forcing too often is definitely something you see here at the higher ranks, mainly because of the egos involved, right? When you're talking Diamond Immortal players, a lot of these guys think they're better than they are, and so they're going to be forcing up every round, trying to make those hero plays. But all they end up doing is hurting their own economy and hurting their chances that their team is going to win on the next gun round. And also another bad thing about this is it sometimes encourages teammates to force as well. Then you have your whole team forcing round after round after round. You guys are losing everything, going into another force, and it just kind of spirals out of control. So this is a really bad habit, and it's just all about understanding that just because you can force doesn't mean you should, right? And it's understanding that the best forces are the simple ones. Something like second round after you lose a pistol, okay, that's good, everyone on the same page. But if you're doing it like 6-7 rounds into the game just because you can, but you're gonna take away something from the next gun round, you really want to reconsider and trying to figure out, is this actually worth it? Is the payoff greater than the cost? And normally it's not for most players. Mistake number 5 is about being too predictable with your pushes. This is something that the highest level players are just going to be able to absolutely dominate you when it comes to this. So this is a bad habit and something you really want to fix, because this mistake will cost you games. And one of the interesting things that came up during one of my streams recently, someone asked me about this, because I was pushing mid on a Haven and on defense, right? Playing B site, and I like to smoke window, push mid. And I stopped doing it after a little while. The reason I stopped doing it is because the enemy team had countered me in the round before, and they were actively, applying pressure into mid during that round. I realized that, I'd pushed mid 3 or 4 times previously. They were on to me. If I kept doing that, yes, I could maybe get a kill, but most likely they're going to be prepared for it. Why would I push something that the enemy team is prepared for? That makes no sense, right? I'm asking to lose. I'm asking to die there. This is important because when you get to these high ranks, the other team is going to have players who are paying attention to your tendencies and to what you're doing round after round. They're going to pay attention to not just where you're playing, but how you're playing. So it's really important that once you get to this rank, once you're in Diamond, if you're struggling to make it out, you might want to be paying attention to this. Are you too predictable in your play? Are you playing the same spot, pushing every round, flashing the same thing? If so, really important to try to change it up round after round, whether that means you're switching sites you're on or switching, the level of aggression, whatever it is, really important to stay unpredictable. That way the enemy team just doesn't have an easy read on you and your teammates. Mistake number 6 is actually targeted at a specific group of players, and that is the Phantom users. And the problem I have with this, and the big mistake here, is the spray and pray sort of strategy that comes with using the Phantom. Just because a weapon has a better recoil pattern does not mean you should continue to spray it, right? This is a big problem because what I've found with myself, so I'm actually going to use myself as the example here, is that when I use the Phantom, I'm more inclined to kind of go for body shots and just let the spray carry me through these kills. When I use the Vandal, I feel, way more pressure to hit headshots, so I actively go for headshots. Hence why, I'm at like a 30% headshot percentage, right? With the Phantom, no way am I doing that. And this is a big thing that you kind of have to look at yourself and be like, hey, am I one of these people in Diamond who just uses the Phantom because I'm afraid to go for headshots? If so, and I know there's a lot of you out there watching this right now who are those people, you've got to change that, right? Headshots should always be the main priority. If you rely on spraying and praying, you're going to eventually, like I said, maybe get to Diamond 3, you're going to run into those Immortals, those high-ranked players who are very good, who only go for headshots, and you're never going to win an aim duel against them, right? And I think everybody gets to that point eventually where they're like, I can't win aim duels anymore, and they realize it's because they're not going for headshots, they're just relying on spraying. If that's you, gotta stop that. And honestly, for me, the easiest and most simple fix for me was just using the Vandal in the majority of my games. Mistake number 7 is about rushing your advantages, any situation where you have the upper hand and just going too fast, right? This is super simple. These are things like 2v1 retakes onto sites, like a 5v4 execute onto a site where you're already up a player. What ends up happening is once, or even something like a 5v3 and you guys overextend in mid and push and you just get like collapsed on. This happens all the time at these high ranks where your teammates and you'll recognize that you have an advantage and you want to exploit it. You want to go get your kills. You get a little bit too greedy. This is going to cost you a lot of rounds, especially when it comes down to those clutches and to those sort of like those retakes onto site, especially as a defender. If you push in too quickly, even if it's a second too quick, you may allow for a quick kill from the enemy, who then is able to sort of, recover, hide, and then take another fight. You don't want that to happen, right? Whenever you have an advantage, you want to abuse it. So in a 2v1, you should always be going for trades. Everything you do in a 2v1 should be to get traded, right? And this is something that is such a huge problem in these high ranks, and this is even for immortal players as well, is that at these ranks, people just get a little bit too antsy, and they have a hard time being patient and waiting for their teammate to get in a proper position, waiting for their teammate to get their flashes out, to shoot their darts or whatever it may be, and instead they just push in solo, die, and now the enemy has a chance at 2 1v1s in a clutch instead of a 2v1 with an easy trade opportunity. Very, very important here to take it slow, play with your teammates, and be very, very smart about how you use your advantages, because this is one of the most common, sort of mistakes that happens at these ranks, and also one of the big reasons why there are so many comebacks that we see in these matchmaking games. Mistake number 8 is about re-challenging OPers. This is a big problem where essentially what happens, at least in my games, is you'll have a guy run in, just get opt, right? And you're like, okay, he's dead. But then for some reason, people still want to repeat that op. Let me explain something. You are going to win that gunfight probably 1 out of 10 times, right? An op should not lose that. If they're holding the angle and you go for a repeat into where you know an opper is, you should lose that. Now, if you're using abilities, that's great. If you're flashing that corner, smoking, whatever it may be, okay, that's a different story. But if you're peeking dry into an opper, this is a big problem. And this is how you just lose rounds for nothing, right? A 4v5 is still winnable. A 3v5 is much more difficult. Whenever you guys become aware of where an opper is, one of my best suggestions, honestly, is to just avoid that site if you don't have a real sort of way to deal with it. Like if you're not running breach or something, or if you don't have a counter op to help deal with it, sometimes the best option or the best solution is to just avoid the site and go to the other one. Because most of the time when you're running into an op without a good counter to it, they do win those fights. It heavily favors the oppers. And for some reason in Diamond, people think they're just like gonna one tap everybody, so they just repeat these ops and die one by one, and what was a winnable round just becomes completely wasted, right? We want to avoid that. Please stop peeking ops. Mistake number 9 is about overthinking plays. So at this rank, you have developed a considerable amount of game sense, and you are very probably well versed in strategy, timing, and all that kind of good stuff, right? But the problem here, and this is a huge pet peeve of mine, this is actually probably one of the biggest mistakes I see, is people will just rotate because they can. They will get an opening pick and they won't take the site. And I don't know why. And I think people are overthinking these situations, that sometimes once you get that opening kill, you don't have to rotate across the map because you think the other team is going to be in position or they're going to have the rotations. They still have to get there, right? This is a really big problem, is people will take what is a simple play and they'll way overcomplicate it. Okay, we got the opening pick, let's rotate back, apply pressure, and then run back to the other site. Or let's throw a Killjoy ult down over on this side of the map, and let's pressure the other side of the map. The problem with that strat is what happens every single time is Killjoy puts her ult down, right? Everyone, the enemy team backs out of it, but your team goes too quickly, ends up getting killed early because there's still players on the other site, waiting to kind of see what happens, and the whole play falls apart and you lose a Killjoy ult. I cannot tell you how many times the fake Killjoy ult strat has not worked. It doesn't work more often than it does work because people don't time it properly. Please, 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 keep things simple. Do not overthink your situation that you're in. Just take what the enemy team gives you. If a site seems open, if you get a kill, you are probably going to 3v1 or 4v1 the remaining player on site if there is one left. That is super favorable. Take your trades, take your site. Don't overcomplicate things. And mistake number 10 is getting into sort of that ego mindset where people just can't accept defeat. Guys, if your teammates are struggling, if you are struggling, ask for someone to swap positions with you, ask for more help, ask for, smokes, whatever it is. If you are on defense, especially, and for some reason you cannot hold your site or your teammates are struggling, if you see somebody getting run over by the same guy 3 rounds in a row, maybe it's a good idea to pull that guy away from there, either have them completely reposition or have someone else swap with them. Why is it so hard for us in our games to accept that we are getting absolutely destroyed and being like, okay, you know what? I can't play here. I need someone to come help. Why is it so hard? I don't know, ego thing, right? But nonetheless, you still have to be able to understand that, hey, I am struggling. I need help. Let me have someone help me, right? Don't just stay there because you're stubborn. Don't be like, oh, I got it this time. I got it this time. Because that's how you lose games, where you're unable to adapt and the enemy team avoids your best players, targets the weak ones, and just runs them over round after round. And then suddenly you're down like 8 rounds and you're starting the next half and you feel horrible, right? Don't let that happen. Admit your mistakes, swap positions, and just try to be smart about this. If someone, or even if you are struggling, either ask for help or just swap positions. Super simple. Gonna save you a lot of headache though, trust me. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let me know what you want to see next. And remember, follow me on Twitch. I'm gonna be live there almost daily. And if you have any questions about these videos, it's a great place to ask. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy, and peace.